One of the senators right now we have with us, Democratic Senator and 2020 presidential candidate Michael Bennet of Colorado, a Democrat. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm not sure they're all human, by the way.
Well, who isn't a human?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say
Right, classic. So tell me, first of all, what are you seeing? Are you okay with how your colleagues are taking this all on?
I think so far people are by and large listening, and I'm grateful that they are, because I think the case that's been laid out is damning, shocking, appalling, and the allies of the president are trying to say to the American people, there's nothing to see here, and I think we are in the midst of a very profound constitutional crisis.
And if you could offer any advice to the House impeachment managers, since you are a Democrat, like as they are, and you find their case compelling, to make their case even more compelling, maybe not so much with, you know, a Democratic senator in mind as much as a Mitt Romney or a Susan Collins in mind, what might they be able to do to improve the case they're presenting?
Well, I actually think they're doing a phenomenal job. I mean, not a perfect job. I think some of the comments on the first night about that sounded more partisan, were not useful, and didn't help the case.
Jerry Nadler's comments.
Yeah, but that was very much an outlier in a day where what you did have was a respect not just for the Senate, and that's not even to me the important part, but a respect for the Constitution and for our democracy. And I think in the end, that's who's really going to judge this. I mean, these documents, one way or another, these documents are going to come out. My concern, and we're going to know what happened, my concern is that if the Senate doesn't do its job to have documents and witnesses, we will have neutered the Senate and the House of Representatives for all time. You know, the oversight that we're supposed to provide of the funding that we have, the military funding that we sent Ukraine, and of a president who has stonewalled not just the Senate, but every journalist in America, every voter in America, by saying, I'm a king. I don't have to give you documents. I don't have to give you witnesses. By this time in the trial, in the Clinton trial, we had 90,000 documents that we were considering. We don't have a single document that they've turned over.
But let me ask you, you just said one way or another we're going to find out what happened. Doesn't that suggest that we don't fully know what happened?
Well, we don't. We definitely don't fully know what happened.
But does that mean, you know, by definition, that the impeachment and the trial are premature if we don't know fully what happened?
Oh, I disagree with that. That's the whole point of having the trial structured the way the founders structured it. And what we have is a set of facts that were ascertained over the objection of the President of the United States, who stonewalled the House of Representatives completely. Now, but nonetheless, the House has been willing to, or been able to present a very compelling case because brave Americans were willing to come and testify against the President's edict. And with that testimony, as well as the President's own words, which are such a damning part of this trial, we've got a very compelling case. Now it's our duty as senators, there's nobody else in America who has this duty, to make sure the American people hear the facts.
But you know that if you don't have 4 Republicans next week who will vote in favor of bringing witnesses in, the trial's presumably going to be over. By the end of next week, he'll be acquitted. What about your Republican colleague from Colorado, Cory Gardner? Where does he stand, as far as you can tell? Because this is obviously a very sensitive issue in Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know where he stands. I don't know where he'll vote, and I can't say where he'll vote. But I hope it's not just 4, I hope it's 10 or 15, because I hope by next week what people see is that if we allow this kind of conduct to go forward, and we allow the president to stiff-arm America the way he is in this context, there will be nothing left of our checks and balances. And it will allow the next president, whether they're a Democrat or Republican, to say to any congressional inquiry, no, you can't, I'm not going to send you documents, I'm not going to send you witnesses. That's not the way this works. It's not the way it's ever worked. The president's partisans want people to believe that's the way it works, but it doesn't work that way.
You're one of 4 Democratic senators who've had to leave the campaign trail in Iowa and New Hampshire to come back to Washington and sit and sit and sit. You've been doing a lot of sitting right now. How's that affecting your campaign?
Well, obviously, it's a big interruption, but you know, we've got a constitutional obligation that we have to fulfill. All of us do. And I believe each of us is privileged to have that chance. So I've got a great team in Iowa, a great team in New Hampshire, and I'll be back in New Hampshire on Sunday. So got to do both.
All right, Senator Michael Bennet, Democrat of Colorado. Thanks so much.
See you, Jake.
Good to see you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
We expect senators to start